everybody. Welcome to OzByDrone. I'm Greg.
Hi, I'm John. Hi, everybody. Great to have you again with us this week. Great show for you.
It's an interesting start to the day for me today. I woke up 2 hours later than I normally should have for the show today, but there's a good reason for that. And Grumpy, you had some music that you wanted to play?
Yay!
Yep. Yay!
Yes, that's right. It is my birthday, so let's get that out of the way. It's still my birthday. It's still my birthday in America, so okay.
In these states it is. So happy birthday, Greg. You look like crap, but happy birthday.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, my wife is telling me I look like crap because the green screen. Oh, I know why it is.
The green
I forgot to turn those lights back on, and that's why it was looking awful.
That's what partying does for you.
Look,
yep, that's right. That's the beer.
Today is going to be an interesting show. I've got a splitting headache. I woke up late. Putting together the studio and getting it ready to go live today was a painful experience. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, let's move on from that. John, what's been happening for you this week?
Yeah, great week. I went down to the Snowy Mountains to do some more tracking of the orange hawkweed, the Eurasian pest that we've been dealing with. I've had a fly down there, and the height went up at about 5,000 feet or so above sea level. Did some survey work, and it was just a great trip to look around the Snowy Mountains region. I know we talked about it last week a little, but anyway, I'm back safe. I did grab some snow while I was there, just a handful. Brought it back with me home, but I just can't seem to find it now, so I have no idea.
Okay, and we've got a comment on the screen. What was that? You're younger here in the States, OzByDrone. Yeah, I am. I am, but I'm still the same age in years because, yeah, if it was yesterday, then maybe different. Anyway, let's move on. Happy birthday from Lost Girl Hikes. Thank you for that. But let's get into it. Absolutely. So we'll start with the news. OzByDrone News is brought to you by AirData UAV. Is your drone healthy, or is it about to surprise you on your next flight? Don't wait to find out. Discover information under the bonnet and review the early signs of problems before you take off again. Use the discount code OzByDrone20 and you will get a 20% discount. There is a link to their website in the description. Let's move on. Our first story today. So restricted airspace, and this is a bit of a personal topic for me because we've got someone local that wants to prohibit our flight takeoff in an area that, it's a council regional area and it's got no problems with other issues. But anyway, personal issue. Authorities in the eastern Australian city of the Gold Coast are warning of a rising number of drone flights in restricted airspace, particularly around its airport, and have made pleas to the region's pilots in the region to respect no-go delineations as the nation heads into summer. On Monday, officials from Australia's Civil Aviation Safety Authority, CASA, issued a statement asking people operating drones to be attentive to airspace restrictions in the Gold Coast and surrounding areas in Queensland. They extended the plea to UAV pilots in the northern part of northern New South Wales, whose state border sits flush with the Gold Coast airport. Authorities didn't put a figure on the spiking sightings of UAVs entering the banned areas, but they did say that those incidents have been particularly heavy around the Gold Coast airport, the nation's sixth largest and busiest outside of a state capital.
This is the problem. It's a busy area. Same with northern New South Wales. You've got Ballina Airport, which is very busy, Rismore Casino, all that region. And it's a common traffic advisory area, guys. So if you have a chance, think about a radio. There's actually some good sense, even if you're a recreational user, to have a small VHF receiver and get used to it. I had people training with this stuff where we just get them to leave it on at home, get used to what the airplanes are saying. Now, if it's restricted airspace anyway, of course, you can't fly. But a lot of this area, they're just calling a no-drone zone because technically perhaps the airspace isn't restricted, but we need to highlight that it's very, very busy. And it is. It's very busy.
Yeah. Just to quickly highlight, I've just put that sign back up again. So this is a sign that's been produced by CASA. And I 100% support if it's restricted airspace governed by CASA, knock yourselves out. Put the signage up. We shouldn't be flying there. The bit that I don't like is when you've got a council going and putting stickers up on signs and threatening local ordinances about flying in an area. It's just, it's frustrating that the hobby and the industry is getting a bad reputation because of what those guys are doing.
They are. And look, if you just take a little look at the airspace, we're going to have a good talk about that today with our guest, and sort of just the way we manage our flight data and where we're flying too. But you have a good look, know where you're flying. If it's a council one, they can drag you to court. There's not much they can do under the legislation. But tell me, CASA can. Absolutely. If you're flying in a controlled airspace within 5.5 kilometres or 3 nautical miles of the airport, yep, they will haul you up and you'll get a pretty decent fine for that. So it's good to know whether you're right or wrong in these cases. So I agree with you, Greg, though. The councils are overstep, a lot of overreach from councils at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And just briefly, thank you, Wayne. Thank you for the birthday present. So
Hi, Wayne.
G'day, Wayne. He's one of our regulars, so appreciate that. Just thinking about this a little more, right? We all agree that technically councils have the right to regulate the use of their land. Now, if you give as an example, dogs in a park, right? There's a really, really good reason. If that was ever tested in court, 100% council would win. Holding a remote control in your hand, would that ever stand up in court? Because you've got to actually demonstrate the difference between something that is causing a nuisance, and if the actual aircraft in the air is legal, how can the act of holding that aircraft, maybe takeoff and landing, that one you could argue 100%, but if the aircraft took off from outside a council-controlled area, even if you happen to hold the remote in your hand, it's not on council land. The remote is not on council land, and that. I'm just trying to challenge the thinking. What if you do a hand launch? Aircraft was never on council property.
I think you'd Greg, when it comes down to the actual definition, the aircraft has a controller as the aircraft itself, and it has an operator. And the operator, unless you're able to hover over the land, is actually occupying the council land. And that's actually what you're doing.
I know. I guess I'm just thinking about. Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about operating from the council land as opposed to taking off. Just if we pick that one, holding the controller and operating an aircraft.
I think they'd have a good go at you, because even if you took off from the road outside the council land and walked into the park with the controller, you've trespassed. You're actually in a state of trespass. The aircraft doesn't necessarily matter where the aircraft is, because the aircraft is not in council space.
I know.
But you are. And so what you're doing there. Now, if you decided to get naked and walk onto council land, you don't have the option to do that, or perhaps, the rules with a dog and so forth. So when it says no drones, it means you can't stand there, with a controller either, obviously. So they could test it. We had a lot of precedent for it. So I would suggest that, that take it up. I know you have with the council. We've visited councils in your area to talk about it, and we've helped them with their drone programs. So a lot of it is to do with, they've got I do have a safety responsibility. So what they're worried about, of course, is that if someone has an accident, you've got a busy park, lots of kids playing, a drone injures someone, and they feel that they're going to be carrying the can. The truth is they're not. They're not responsible necessarily. So that's really where that comes from. A lot of the litigious reasons within their council that they're doing.
Understood.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So we've got a lot to get through before we get to our guest, and want to make sure we don't fall behind. The next one is about Apple, and I've got, my wife is holding up the happy birthday ka-ching sign. Let me just quickly acknowledge that was from Trevor. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trev.
Welcome to the birthday bus. Okay. So we're going to move on to this one, Apple drones. So if you haven't already heard, an Apple drone could come to life as a new patent application was spotted recently. According to the patent, Apple is developing technology for an unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV. It was noted that 2 further drone-related patent applications have also been revealed, with the original filing suggesting that Apple was trying to keep the project a secret. The first patent relates to methods of pairing and unpairing certain drones to their controllers. It also appears to be describing a method of control of a drone being handed from one controller to another, potentially while still maintaining flight. The other new patent reportedly relates to controlling the drone through the use of a cellular network. Now, we've got that photo there. We've got a couple of other photos, I think, as well. Let's just have a look. That was, of course, the Apple campus. We've got, let's go to the next one. So there's a photo of, I don't know if this was a stock photo or whatever, but it came with one of the stories. And I think we've got a photo of one of the patents as well. Next picture. There we go. So we've got a fair bit of detail coming out already about this. What do you think about Apple?
Meet Apple's next big product, the Apple Drone. Drones have become the big things these days, whether they be used by people for plain old fun or being flown over Apple's new spaceship campus as it is being built. In fact, they're fast becoming a factor of life rather than something just a few people have experienced. You can buy them from Amazon or the Apple Store should you so wish. Today we will take a look at Apple's next big product, which is the Apple Drone. The California...
So I'm not going to actually play the entire story there because it's someone else's story and I didn't get a response back to them, but just as a way of introducing the topic, what do we think of Apple making a drone?
Well, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at what it'll do. I mean, we've seen them come and go. It's a difficult market to get into. I'd have to say Apple would probably have the pockets to do pretty well.
Yeah.
And, you know, the tech is not that difficult. Actually, it's very, very simple to get a lot of these things. You know, we're building them in our garage, in our basement. So I would love to see what Apple is going to build, and I imagine that's going to create a little bit of a shock in the industry, a wave. I always wanted to have an exoskeleton for my iPhone. I believe that you could have a little tray that you drop your iPhone into. You might grab your iPad to fly it, and it had props on it, and off it goes. It's got a beautiful camera. It's got a GPS. It's got 4G, got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It has everything in it that a modern drone has. And then, of course, you would just land it and pop it out and put it back in your pocket and just maybe, you know, fold up the propellers. So I'm waiting for that one. I wondered why Apple didn't make a flying iPhone.
You know, the one thing I think that would be interesting to discuss and watch and talk about, Apple hardware versus software. Apple, their hardware physically looks beautiful from a design aesthetic perspective and a form and function perspective. Their software, there's a lot of love-hate relationship with some of the Apple software. If they do go into the drone market, will it be a closed software ecosystem or will it be open? I would love, what do you think?
Oh, look, that's anybody's guess. You're a good one to comment on that because of the amount of knowledge that you have over the current sort of flight software. We know, though, that even some of our old OGs are developing their own flight software. That's not so much a problem. This comes, of course, from robotics. So in the robotics community, a lot of software is open and available to use, and the robotics community sort of started sharing a lot of their code and technology very early in the piece. So whether Apple adopted some of that, why reinvent the wheel? There's a lot of stuff that's already done, and we know where DJI gets its software from.
Yeah, DJI, some of their software, and I know this from personally looking at the code, is stolen open source components. I would love it. I would love it dearly if Apple stepped up and said, how do we act as a differentiator between our product and everyone else? DJI, very, very closed. What if, hypothetically, Apple said, hey, we're good at making this hardware. Let's make a design that's better than anyone else. And let other people come to the party with the software. That, I think, would be a game changer.
How much? Here's a question that I don't know about. How much different is the core for, say, a phone software, an Android phone and an iPhone? Eventually, they're using a codec for video. Where do the similarities come in there, where they're actually sharing a lot of the same ideas anyway? Sure, there's differences, different ways they do things because we like operating systems. Grumpy's going to sleep, so I'm not going to go on this one too long. But eventually, you have PIDs inside robotic software. you know, you're going to have that somewhere, and there's no sense in. There's not. Yeah, thanks, Grumpy. All right. So anyway, maybe we should move on. But let's wait. Let's agree to wait and see what Apple does. Don't you reckon, Grumpy? Wait to see what they do, what they bring out. Okay. He doesn't want to hear what I want to guess.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some money for that too, so it'd just be time to move on.
Yeah, they're paying you to move on. Happy birthday again from Zeb Meat. So welcome to the birthday bus. It's the party bus, and appreciate it very much, Zeb Meat. Let me just answer very, very briefly, though, your question. Android is actually inside DJI drones, right? You've got multiple layers of different CPUs and controllers. The CPU, Android there, and then you've got the real-time operating system, which is in the flight controller. The thing that we have found is FFmpeg, which is an open source piece of software that lots of people use. DJI have not complied with the license. All it says in the license is you've got to acknowledge that you're using it. They haven't done that. And the second thing that they're required to do, any derivative product under the FFmpeg license, they need to provide the source code for that. So under that license, they are required by law to provide all of this stuff that's been hiding. And, you know, maybe there's a way that we can get at that and get rid of the closed market on that stuff. And my wife is falling asleep.
Okay. Move on.
Okay, let's move on. We're going to go in and click this button over here and say, in the 1984 film, catching gremlins is never easy. They had to trick them into thinking it was nighttime when it was really daytime. DARPA, however, conducted their gremlin tests in broad daylight. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, says that a specially equipped C-130 Hercules cargo plane successfully recovered an X-61A Gremlins drone in midair last month. Look at this. Now, it's not exactly the kind of drone that you and I fly, and that's fine, but just thinking about the technology involved is always good for us to geek out over.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that certainly Defence wouldn't be releasing open source components of how they're actually doing that capture. But again, just something to geek out over. I'm sure you'd like to be flying one of those, John.
Oh, absolutely. I'd
Okay.
fly anything, but that'd be fun, as long as it goes fast.
Okay, no more rockets today. Moving on, just a quick run at that. This one is a vital stadium upgrade took place at Thomond Park during the off-season, and as a state-of-the-art LED floodlighting system was installed at the ground. Drone and media captured the new equipment in a way that only a drone would see, demonstrating the new lights in action. The new LED lights in place are more environmentally friendly and are of higher quality than the previous lighting. The upgrade will improve the match day experience at Thomond Park with the new lighting system in place, also giving us the capability to include a light show on match days. Have a look at this. Really good to look at, and certainly a lot of the, you know, we've seen a lot of one-shot drone videos promoting some stuff. That lighting system looks really cool, but certainly a drone's view perspective does highlight it very well.
Very nice.
Okay.
I like it. Pretty pictures. anything with lights on it looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah. We've got one more, and this one's a bit of a fun story, just for the fun of it, before we get with our guest. In the beginning, drones did not have stabilization. The early manufacturers soon realized that a gimbal would help with video quality. DJI have come... Why is my wife pointing to that? Because maybe the snapshot didn't work. Anyway, I'll continue. The early manufacturers soon realized that a gimbal would help with video quality. DJI have come a long way since those humble beginnings and created new markets with the Ronin, for example. But when we saw this, we had to share. And it was a vertical video syndrome. But yeah, this was someone using a Phantom 4 as a gimbal at their food celebration. Not exactly the standard use of drones that we would normally have on the show, but it was a bit of fun. Play it one more time just for a bit of fun there. But it does show the progression of the use of gimbal and stabilization technology. I think the drone market has certainly helped the photography market in a lot of ways. Okay. And with that, we reach the end of our first news segment. And I'm still trying to wake up. I've got a hell of a hangover this morning. Okay. Let's move on, and I'll go over here and press this button and say welcome to Jim McAndrew from DroneLink.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Spectacular. So DroneLink, obviously you make some software of some sort about drones. Tell me, what is DroneLink and where did it come from?
Yeah, so DroneLink is a flight automation app mostly for DJI drones. We do support Parrot drones, and we're definitely wanting to get support for other manufacturers eventually. And it's a project that I've been working on for the last several years. I actually had created a couple of companies before this that were in the same space. One of which was it was actually the first app for DJI drones. It was called Autopilot. So I just happened to be in the right place at the right time back in 2014. And I bought the Phantom 2 Vision Plus. That was my first drone. And that was right when DJI came out with the beta, like the first beta version of their SDK. And I came across it because, I bought this drone for Christmas, and I was quickly kind of ran into the limit of what I could do with my thumbs. And so being a software developer, I just said, let me go find some apps on the App Store, and there wasn't any. So I started looking for ways to do it myself, reverse engineer it, hack it, whatever. Sounds similar to kind of what you've been doing. And they had the SDK. So I just said, hey, why not? Maybe I can make an app for it. And this was kind of back in the dark ages before you could even upload waypoints to the drone. Their SDK was super bare bones. And so back then, if you wanted to do anything with it, you had to essentially write your own flight controller and send virtual stick commands to the drone. And I was pretty naive back then. And if I knew then what I know now, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it was just a fun experience and a fun time back in the drone industry. And that project kind of had a lot of stuff left undone. I had gone into the next drone company after that, from like 2016 until 2018. It was called Hanger. And DroneLink was more of just going back to my roots. It's a bootstrap-backed startup. It's just several guys out of our garage here in Austin, Texas, and we love flying drones. We do FPV. We meet at our local drone meetups and stuff like that. But we also just have fun creating software that helps people fly their drones better.
Okay. And I had a look at some of the info on your website, and the way I described it to you when we were having our little pre-flow chat is it's kind of like a cloud automation and orchestration layer that you can put on top of drone flight and share that cloud experience and set up for your flight planning across multiple pilots. Is that a good way of describing it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's definitely one of the main selling points is a lot of other kind of flight automation apps that are out there just kind of focus on single user mobile device, flying the drone around, maybe planting a few waypoints on a really small mobile screen. And then you just go repeat what you just flew and kind of hope it works. Whereas DroneLink is a little bit more, it was kind of, the original idea and mindset was more kind of out of the software development space with GitHub, where developers can like create open source code and share it and learn off of each other and create ideas. And so my thought was, why shouldn't mission planning be kind of like that? And so the thought was you could break up mission plans into multiple reusable components, and then you could share those components on your DroneLink account if you put them in like public repositories for people to find and discover. And then people could copy them, make them their own, share their changes back to you if they found like better camera settings or something for a hyperlapse or, whatever it was. And yeah, it was kind of, there were some other kind of benefits that came out of that. Like, a lot of times you have like a map or an orbit, or you want to fly a series of waypoints and capture video. And the thought was, with multiple components, why limit yourself to like a single mode operation? Why not be able to just put them all together into one mission plan and do everything all at once? And, that was kind of the original idea.
Okay. And so just looking at some of the video that we played before, right, we saw these different missions flying around really beautiful places. And the one that was obviously relevant to us was around the Opera House. So that mission that you flew there, as we spoke about before, you had all of the CASA approvals and all of that kind of good stuff. Excellent. Is that is that mission plan shared somewhere in a way that someone could now say, hey, you know what, I want to get my own footage of that and record it for myself on a different weather day, hypothetically, right? So you don't just want to get the same footage, but you want the same flight path. Theoretically, that should make it easier to get approval from a regulator to fly in a regulated airspace. Is that one of the applications you've seen?
Yeah, exactly. Not even just like taking the same mission plan and running it again, but even just the pre-flight visualization that you saw there. You can send that over to CASA or the FAA for like when you send your mission plan over for approval, it gives them something to look at to show them, okay, here it is visually. This is exactly what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. But you can take that same exact mission plan. We have it publicly available on our website, and copy it over to your own location if you don't want to fly the Opera House. If you liked what we did, tweak it a little bit. You can use the same camera settings that we had in there. If you're flying a different drone that has different options available, you can change the camera settings if you want to, keep some of ours, put some of your own in. So yeah, all those mission plans, and we even have some on there like over Uluru that we haven't flown, but it's just kind of cool to show like a terrain follow, orthomosaic over the entire rock. Nobody would ever really do it because it would be a huge mission, but it's just kind of fun to look at. Okay.
And are there any plans to integrate with different regulatory approval frameworks? So you've got over in the US, Lance, I believe we've got different things, starting to appear soon in Australia. Is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah. So over here, the Lance approval space, we have several of the approved Lance vendors are actually DroneLink SDK customers. And so that's kind of the other half of our business is more focused on the enterprise and business side. All of the tooling that we use to build the app at DroneLink.com and our native apps is actually available. Much of it's open source on GitHub. And so we have companies like Aloft, which used to be called Kitty Hawk, and Measure that are Lance approved, vendors over here that actually have our flight automation embedded directly into their offerings. And so our idea was just the offering that's at DroneLink.com is more kind of focused on the hobbyist and maybe even like small drone service providers. But once you kind of kick over into that enterprise category, we either point you to, hey, you should just go use our SDK to embed it into your existing capture app, or use one of our partners that provides that additional functionality that we're not focused on.
Okay. And last question from me, and we'll see if John's got a few more in a minute. My last question is, what do you see are the biggest commercial applications of your framework and your environment? What, from an industry vertical perspective, where are people playing?
Oh yeah. So there's kind of, like I was saying before, there's two big segments, right? There's the hobbyists, and then there's the business users. As far as the business users go, DroneLink can do all the standard stuff like mapping, but I think what's probably more interesting, because of the way that we've implemented our system, we can upload waypoints to the drone, but we can actually also use an approach called virtual stick, which means we're sending commands to the drone in real time, just as if a pilot has thumbs on the sticks. What that allows us to do is, instead of just flying like a 2D pattern where you point the camera straight down, we can fly in full 3 dimensions, right? And then as the drone is flying around pieces of critical infrastructure like cell phone towers, doing inspections, you can get down into the Z-axis and you have full control over every axis of the drone and the gimbal at all times. And so as the GPS is drifting, or the barometric altimeter is drifting, or the digital compass is drifting, what you end up with, like when you're taking pictures really close to an asset like a cell phone tower, is it starts to become out of the frame, and it essentially ruins the data capture from an analytics standpoint. And so we can either let the human be in the loop, and essentially in real time account for those errors. We have sort of an interface that allows them to do that either on the sticks of the remote controller or on the screen. And we can also allow machines to be in the loop, and a combination of humans and machines, where you can train like a ML model to identify the object that you're trying to scan, like a tower, for example, and it can actually like keep it in the center of the frame for you without you having to manipulate those controls. And so I think those are the kinds of use cases where, at the end of the day, people want to use these consumer drones that DJI's produce that have professional grade sensors and actually capture data sets that are worth thousands of dollars to these infrastructure owners.
Okay. Look, some interesting stuff there. I see John's moving around a little bit. I gather you're repositioning for something. Are you there, Mr. Morrison?
I am certainly here. I'm fascinated. This is really great stuff, and I love the way it's scaled too. So you're considering, a lot of people who have certain needs. Commercial operators have got different needs. You've got, recreational users with needs, and you really thought about and covered a lot of that in your development. I'm interested in the fact that you were with Hover one time. Is that part of your enterprise? I'm just asking.
Sorry, not Hover, Hanger.
Hanger, I'm sorry. Hanger, I meant to say too. And so, is it still a going concern as far as I know?
So Hanger actually got acquired by AirMap.
That's right. Okay, so I wondered about that, but you've got a history in there, and they were really a lot of groundbreaking work was done there, most probably by you, in this kind of work anyway, in this whole area, and no one knew much in the early days. You didn't know what it was going to be all used for, but now it's quite clear how the scope of the technology that you're putting together. Yeah,
for sure. So I think with autopilot, it was kind of almost a beta version of DroneLink in a sense. It was like iOS only. It was only focused on DJI. There was kind of a bunch of limitations and things that I've now fully realized with DroneLink. But what happened was I had some business partners kind of approached me in 2016, and we basically started Hanger together, and we tried to, it was a really big. We had a pretty big vision. We wanted to do a lot of stuff, and we want to get into a lot of these spaces that you guys were talking about, like Lance approval providing, and also analytics and like data processing. And so that kind of, is definitely one flavor of doing kind of a venture-backed startup in the drone space. Sure. And then DroneLink is like a little bit going back to my roots, doing a bootstrap thing, trying to make as much of it as open source as possible, trying to make it as collaborative and community-based as possible, but then also like backing it up with a business model that makes it sustainable. So I don't necessarily have to go raise money again, and I can kind of keep control of the vision and stay true to the community.
It's great. Look, I loved Autopilot. It was just a fantastic bit of software. I got to use it, quite a few times now. See, I'm getting into a car here, so don't be frightened. Don't be frightened. I'm still with you. So, but I'll sit on the side, thanks, Greg, and listen to some more because it's very interesting.
Happy
Okay.
birthday, Greg.
Thank you. Thanks, Jackie. So I'm going to pause at this point anyway, and we're going to have a little bit of fun now. So let's press that button and that button. And...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stop the Yank.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fun part of the show that we love to have, where we go and throw some Aussie trivia at our guest, and he has no idea how much of a goose he's going to look like, but that's all right. It's all in fun. We're going to play Stump the Yank. So just a quick intro. Lloyd is our resident stumper. Rather ironically, he's not an Australian. He's a Yank himself, but he's got some Aussie friends, myself included. And he's our honorary Aussie and stump master. So what do you got for us today, Lloyd?
You know me, I'm always looking for something new. Let's start out with an easy one. Do you know what a ute is? I'll give you three choices. Is it a special drink? You know how Aussies like to drink. Is it, like a mixed drink? Or is it a slang for ute's an idiot, Or is it a vehicle of sorts that they might have in Australia?
Or the other one that I've heard, something about like an emu that's a relative of an emu. That's one I've possibly heard of as well.
A neutered emu, yeah. A ute, yeah. That's four. So,
what do you got there?
I'm gonna go with the car.
You're right. Okay, it's utility vehicle. Yeah.
Okay.
Stumped.
So it actually stands for a utility vehicle, which you guys call over there a pickup truck. But anyway, I don't know what you pick up, but
well, the standard ute that you guys drive, which is what the Holden started out with them, they are more like our Chevy El Caminos or the Ford Rancheros. They're a car/pickup truck. Okay.
Okay.
No.
We got number two.
Okay. Okay. Here's one. What is a crow eater? Now, is that somebody that likes wild game, like game birds? Or is that somebody who has, had to swallow their pride? Or is it somebody, now these are Australian terms, so they have weird stuff over there. Or is it a person from South Australia?
I'm going to go with number two, swallow your pride.
Nope, it's actually a person from South Australia.
Okay.
My mate, Grant's probably going to give me crap after the show because he's from South Australia.
Yeah.
We say eat crow in America? I thought we said eat crow over here.
Yeah, we do. We say eat crow. That means you swallow your pride, you got to eat crow, yeah.
Okay.
But
we'll stump the Aussies one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yank the stump. Yeah, we do that every now and again.
We do that too, yeah.
One more.
Let's go with
Aren't you going to ask me what bungee smugglers?
Bungee smugglers.
Oh, haven't you? Yeah. What is a bungee smuggler? Do you know what that is?
Aren't those like underwear or something?
Speedos. But you got the name wrong. A bungee smuggler.
It's somebody who steals rubber ropes.
Yeah.
A budgie smuggler is what they're called. Budgies,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or aren't you going to say what's fair dinkum?
Well, I could, but see, I'm going for the more obscure ones. Like,
okay.
How about this? What's a chook? Is it a chicken? Is it a favorite drink that they love to drink at Australian bars? Or is it an idiot?
I'm going to go with the drink.
Nope, it's a chicken.
All right, I got stumped.
It's a chicken, or it's also an idiot because you chook.
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, that I hadn't thought about that, but I just know it as a chicken. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so
just any chicken, female, male chicken, rooster.
Yeah, they just call it a chook.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's actually was a guy that was on Australia's Got Talent. His name was Chuka something or another. He was an unbelievable keyboard player, and he actually won it one year. And his name was Chuka, and I can't remember his last names because he actually lived out there and he raised chickens. He lived in the outback, but he taught himself to play keyboard and was an unbelievable keyboardist. He never played the same song twice because he didn't know the notes. He just came up with this unbelievable. So look it up on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
but his name is Chuka Jones or something like that. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
you got stumped. Sorry, mate.
Okay, game over. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you for being our guest. Now, before we do anything else, I noticed that John is either frozen or, I don't know, something else is going on over there. So we'll just disconnect John from Rendezvous. We'll put Lloyd in the pilot seat for the moment and see what happens. If John comes back, we'll see. But thank you so much for being our guest. You're welcome to stay in the background. And you know what would be fun is... I reckon over the month of December, January, we have a much more relaxed format where we stop all of this virtual studio and high production value. I like to have a holiday, and I do that by, just going very raw. It'd be fun to get some people to create some DroneLink missions, send in the video footage. We'll play them here and share those files a little bit later on. So maybe we can have a chat about that and have some fun with that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. Anyway, lovely to have you. Let's move on and put Lloyd in the captain seat. There we go. Thank you again, Jim. So
thanks for having me.
Yeah, the first one we've got is this one. Hong Kong has a $5.9 billion M+ modern art museum. Now, I'm just going to pause for a minute. Can one of you do me a favor and just validate that we're still going out to YouTube? I had couple of red lights. Lloyd, if you could check in the background.
Yep.
While we do that, let's continue. The $5.9 billion M+ Modern Art Museum opens to the public on Friday after years of delays and despite concerns over shrinking artistic freedoms in the city in the wake of their national security laws. M+, the name of the museum, has been touted as a milestone in the government's $20 billion plus West Kowloon Cultural District development. So get that right. Almost over a quarter of the stuff in that area is going into that museum. Anyway, it's intended to create Asia's leading arts hub on land reclaimed from the harbour. The museum aims to showcase 20th and 21st century modern art design, architecture and moving images from Hong Kong, Asia and beyond. Established in 2012, so this is already almost 10 years old, but conceived over 2 decades ago, M+ has collected 50,000 art pieces in its archives involving 777 artists from 35 countries. I'll just put some cultural music in there in the background because this one we couldn't use the music they originally had, but isn't it beautiful? Beautiful building. Bit empty at the moment, but that's all right.
I was going to say, how much did they say they paid for all this?
5.9 billion Hong Kong dollars, okay?
Oh,
but
okay. All right.
Do you want? Let's do it.
Man, they got ripped off.
Let me just load XE and see how much that converts to. I should have done that before. Do you like my cultural music?
Oh yeah, I feel very cultured on this show.
So, for example, 100 Hong Kong dollars is $12 US. Okay. So it's not as big as we thought, but it's still a decent size investment. Basically knock off a zero.
Yeah. Yeah, but still.
Still a lot of money. Look, and I think it's really cool seeing, again, drone technology being used for fly-throughs and all of that kind of stuff. We've seen a lot of them before.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the drone footage. As far as the art goes, I thought it was kind of overpriced myself, but you know.
Yeah. All of that expensive art, yeah. Next one we've got is Tokyo Disneyland Resort has released new drone videos showing off the construction progress of their new Fantasy Springs area coming to Tokyo Disney Sea over the last 2 years. Scheduled to open in 2023, Fantasy Springs is the 8th themed port. It says port, but it's 8th themed part of Tokyo Disney Sea, which consists of 3 Disney characters themed areas and a Disney hotel. Total development area of approximately 140,000 square meters, the largest since the opening of Tokyo Disney Sea. The resort has released the aerial video shown above that we're going to look at now, showing the transformation progress from a parking lot to the formation of the Fantasy Springs as seen in August 2021. I don't know how that's going to possibly open in 2023. Although I suppose so, yeah. It's a lot to go.
Yeah. It almost looks like it's a time lapse, though, because you notice it's.
Oh, there we go. Some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. This is over a time period. Yeah.
But I think that one's a bloody rendering. Come on.
It's Disney magic.
Of course it is.
It's a fantasy.
Oh, that was bad. Fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay. Sky Browse is a drone reality capture platform that can convert DJI or tell drone video into 3D models. A new capability in its product claimed to reduce the amount of time spent on paperwork by over 99%. Primed currently for accident reconstruction services, Sky Browse proprietary technology makes it possible to generate a factual diagram and measurement report within 5 minutes. Now, when public safety officers use Sky Browse drone software on site, to get a model of the scenes, they'll also be able to get a set reference points and so on the ground. The software will automatically take these measurements and generate a full diagram and report. Don't have any video of that one today, but just some really cool applications in the drone space.
Yeah. Yeah. That's 3-dimensional. It's a 3-dimensional look at an accident scene. You'd be amazed what you can find when you have it done in that type of rendering. So
yeah. So from what I gather, if you can imagine your reference points that you're laying down might be markers of where the brakes started and where the back of the thing. You go and put your stickers on the ground, and it's got the full measurement report there, making it a lot easier to do that work that would have taken a lot more work in the past.
Yeah, it's going to, that the technology is changing everything in how we do things, anymore. Because eyewitness accounts are never accurate, but if you can have something like that, tears apart everything and looks at it piece by piece and doing a 3D rendering, that's just giving you the actual, you can see the actual facts rather than trying to accept, Jim Bob's version of how the accident happened. There you go. I knew that.
Thanks, Jim Bob.
Yeah. Yeah.
We found,
like Trevor says, saved many hours of work. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. We got a couple more stories left for today, and the next one is this one. We found this in our inbox this week with some beautiful footage of Lake Kuhnert. Have you heard of Lake Kuhnert before?
No, can't say that I have.
Neither had I. Lake Kuhnert is also known as the Sea of Galilee. Between 705 feet and 686 feet below sea level, it is approximately 33 miles in circumference, about 13 miles long and 8 miles wide. Lake Kuhnert is fed partially by underground springs, but its main source is the Jordan River, which flows through it from north to south and exits at the Degania Dam. We could talk all about all of these technical things, but let's just watch the video because it's beautiful. Let's have a look. Now I'm going to kill the music because it's got some stuff there, and I don't know, it's in another language, so I don't know what's being said, so I'll kill that just for the sake of enjoying the beautiful vision. Let's find some alternate music. There we go. Oh, that's not a good one. Surely I've got something better.
Yeah, compared to the music that was on there, which I recognized the tune. So, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know the other tune, but some beautiful footage nonetheless. And again, this is something that would be useful to put into the software we were talking about earlier today to go and replicate some of those missions. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and we have got one more story and 10 minutes left to go. So let's go and bring this last one up. And it is this one. Docomo Incorporated, Japan's leading mobile operator with more than 83 million subscribers, has announced its development of blade-free blimp-type technology. Glowing in radiant colours, it comes equipped with a high-resolution video camera that captures high-quality video and full-colour LED lights and uses helium to stay afloat and propelled by ultrasonic vibrations which generate the wind to give it some propulsion. The drone is expected to be used at events for practical purposes such as aerial videography as well as surrealistic standalone attraction. Docomo seeks to commercialise the drone within the current fiscal year ending this current March.
I really think this drone here, it really blows, if you ask me. I mean, it's kind of up in the air, you know?
Yeah. I did have some other sound effect that I had planned, but I can't remember what it was. Do you remember? We spoke about it during the... Didn't we? Oh, no, it was Trevor.
No. Yeah, it was Trevor you talked to. Yeah. Yeah.
I remembered the important one.
Right.
There it goes. Just in perfect time as well.
Yeah. It sounds like a idea that's full of hot air, but, you know, it sounds like it might amount to something. Yeah.
Mm. Oh, hang on. My wife was looking at me with that look like she's about to let some air out.
Well, you know, this thing is being propelled by sound waves. Okay. So, but any guy who's been married for any length of time knows that sound waves are the best form of propulsion. I mean, have your wife yell at you enough, you'll get up and go empty the trash like you're supposed to. You know, it's just logic.
And I mean,
Sound
let's face it, when she's sitting in the car and you're driving, she'll tell you where to go and it's propulsion. You end up going there.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, the good thing is when she's not there, the GPS has got a mute button. Okay, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll get into trouble.
Well, that's the thing. My new car has all that, and it's a woman telling me. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's telling me it tells me when I can talk. It tells me when I can't talk. It tells me where to turn, where not to turn.
Mm.
It's like, you know, because Judy doesn't ride everywhere with me, but now she's got her surrogate driver telling me where to go in that new van. So,
okay,
how does that thing go in the wind? That's the other thing. I wonder how that thing handles in the wind.
Look, obviously the amount of thrust is going to be based on the amount of vibration. So basically, I remember what the other sound was now. So this is a vibration-powered drone.
You know, that music goes right with where my mind was thinking.
Oh, look.
That was absolutely perfect. You knew what I was thinking, yeah.
Okay.
Go grab Viz says you're pushing it. Yeah, he's pushing it all right, yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to stretch out 5 minutes here to get through the rest of the show.
Look, we have technically reached the end of the show. So what we're going to do in the meantime is a couple of quick community service announcements. Number one is that OzByDrone News is also supported by our friends at NoLimitDrones. Do you feel like your drone is weighed down by chains when you're flying? Take the chains off and fly without limitations. Go to NoLimitDrones.com for more information. And of course, don't forget the booster kit. The booster kit gives you a nice, strong signal for maximum signal penetration. Go to NoLimitDrones.com for more information.
I just had the thought when you was talking, do you feel like your drone is weighed down by chains? I'm thinking, I wonder if No Limit Drones would actually make that thing fly too high because, you know, it's already not weighed down because, you know, that drone we just saw, you know.
Yeah.
No Limit Drones would just send it to the stratosphere.
Yeah. So thank you to No Limit Drones for their support for the show. Absolutely. And there's one other that I should get in my run sheet. They're supporting us now as well. Where's my mouse? Over here somewhere. Where is it? Fearless Drone Academy. If you're new to the drone scene when it comes to flying, do you have performance anxiety? Are you afraid to get up in the air? Well, if you need some help to take off and get ready to launch, the Fearless Drone Academy is ready to help you get airborne. They offer a course which will help you to take off with confidence. Use OzByDrone 10 to get a 10% discount code on their training.
Man, we've walked that razor's edge all evening seems like ever since I got in the show. And it's not me doing it for a change, it's you doing it. So I've just kind of, you know, you're kind of walking that edge, you know. I'm usually the one that gets stuck doing that kind of stuff, but you did it tonight. So
it's my birthday. I'm allowed to.
You're allowed to. Yeah, it's your birthday. You can cry if you want to. I know.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Just for everybody that wants to know, he was crying behind the scenes. He come on there. He said he was barely functioning. You guys are lucky you got this much of a show out of him. I'm telling you right now, because he looked like crap. Well, he always looks like crap, but he looked worse crap when he started out before the show, guys. So you're lucky you got him.
Okay.
Oh, happy birthday, Greg, by the way.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you. So a couple of quick announcements at the end. Upload at gregkuhnert.com if you want to send in a video. And we've got one that was sent in this week. I haven't had a chance to pull it down yet. That'll go into next week's show. That was a cool one. We'll have a look at that next week. Follow us on social media, OzByDrone at the usual platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, DLive, and a bunch of other ones. And if you've got anything physical you want to send in, that's the address. It doesn't matter what you send in. It's not about sending in high value things. You know, we got this one a couple of weeks ago, which is, you know, a little round token, which has just got a QR code for Joe Blaylock's YouTube channel. It's just cute. It's something, and it's just appreciated, you know.
I thought it sort of looked like a tuit.
What's a tuit?
You know, round tuit. That's what I always tell the wife when I get around to it. So I'll say if you had one, if you had that, yeah.
Okay.
That's it. You know, get around.
We've got it to it. Okay. Well, that's all we've got time for. It's now 11:58. We'll finish 1 minute and 30 seconds early because I just can't stand any more jokes from Lloyd. Thank you to John for being here. Unfortunately, he had to leave early. I don't know what happened today. He obviously had an arrangement with something, and we didn't catch up during the week, probably because I was at my birthday and we normally chat the day before. So we'll catch up with John again next week. Lloyd, some last words and comments from you.
Well, you know what I say, be kind, treat each other better than you treat yourselves. Remember, everybody matters, even hungover guys like Greg. So those are words from Grumpy.
Okay. Thank you, Grumpy. It's always good to have you in the background.
You prefer me in the background instead of the foreground, right?
You said it. Anyway, that's all from me. We're going to be back again next week. This will be our last show before we go into the summer series. And guess who we've got next week?
Who?
You know? Do you know, Lloyd?
No, I haven't looked at the list.
Original Dobo. we've got the Dobo coming on, so that'll be really a lot of fun. And
Awesome.
you know,
Crap now.
this week I drank before the show with Dobo around. Maybe during the show will be appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you have your bleep button ready.
Then the other thing we need to be ready for is okay. That's next week.
That sounds like Ken on his weekly show. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Look, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of our show today. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes and the super chats. We'll see you next time. That's all. Bye-bye for now.